up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Their World. Today I am with a very talented musician, an even cooler guy, Mr. Zach Waters, better known as Pretty Sister. What's up, dude?
That's me.
Yeah, how are you?
both of me.
Yeah, is there a preference with how people call you?
No, it'd be awkward yes, there is.
Yeah.
People called me, hey, pretty.
Do people meet you and not know your name first and then call you Pretty Sister when you're out and about?
There's been a couple times. I actually have a joke with my friend Meredith that she calls me like, hey, pretty, like, cause it's really awkward.
Yeah.
Cause somebody called me that once in front of her.
Oh my God.
It was like at a Betty Who show, and we were standing on the side stage, and somebody was like at the barricade, and they were like, hey, pretty, hey, pretty.
He probably thinks she's hitting on you or something.
Yeah, and I was like, well, oh, I guess, okay, I got it.
I have two friends that call me Palm Tree, just Palm Tree,
Great.
or Palm. So I kind of like.
Palm's cool though.
Yeah.
Pretty's awkward though.
Yeah, it definitely seems like someone's hitting on you.
Yeah, or just like, hey, pretty. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Zach is fine.
Yeah, dude. So it's been a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually only met you in person once.
That is true, but it doesn't feel like that.
Yeah,
though.
it doesn't feel like that at all. It was right after you were filming Songland,
Mm-hmm.
and it was right before the world ended.
Dude, right before.
We had no idea.
Shout out El Tejano, shout out Songland.
Yeah, seriously.
Shout out Jeremy.
Yeah, I know, Jeremy. Since like those last 2 years, like how's it been with, music and creating and stuff since everything's sort of different?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I feel bad saying it, but for me, it was actually like, that whole thing was really good. Pandemic was good for me. I just like worked out a bunch and cooked a lot and finished my whole record.
Damn. So
You know
it's
what I
like
mean?
perfect timing.
Yeah.
Were you planning on working on an album, or did that just work out?
I think I was. I didn't know. Yeah, I think I was. I
Yeah.
knew I had a bunch of songs that, a lot of the new record is like from songs I wrote from 2015.
Yeah,
like,
I saw that.
They've been sitting there for a while.
Mhm.
So I don't think that I would have had the chance, though, to I would have gotten caught up in doing sessions and doing other people's records. I think had it not been for the pandemic. So it
Did
gave me an
anything
opportunity.
like creatively change because of the pandemic? Like, did you develop any new like?
I'd say, well, let me see. That's a good question, actually. I think a breakup happened.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
As it did with a lot of people during a pandemic. So that kind of inspired a couple of the newer songs on the record and kind of helped guide the direction that I was
Right.
like, oh, okay, like this whole album's going to be about the cycle of a relationship,
Yeah.
breaking up, getting back together, and doing that.
Was
a
the
couple of
pandemic
times.
the cause of?
No, but that definitely speeds up
Yeah.
the process.
So much time.
Yeah, I think
So much thinking. And so much talking.
and so much talking, so much thinking, so much time together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It definitely speeds up the process if something's not working.
So like you obviously produce for other people too. Did
Mhm.
that? Because for me, like work got really, really slow.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And then everyone felt like, okay, we're not, like, it's not as scary,
Mm-hmm.
not to be insensitive, but like, so then work
Sure.
kind of picked up a little bit.
Yeah.
For you and producing for others, was it like super slow and then sped back up?
Yeah, I'd say at the beginning, everybody just kind of was like on a holding pattern to see like what was
Yeah.
going to happen. But I worked a fair amount. You know what I'm saying? At the
Mhm.
beginning, yeah, it was still good because I was still doing Zoom sessions.
Yeah. So, but were you doing Zoom before the pandemic?
No, I've
Yeah.
maybe done one Zoom session ever before. And what's crazy is that I almost like kind of prefer them.
Yeah, that's
A
what I
little
was
bit.
gonna ask that. Like so many, like even with me and having meetings, same thing. Do you
Yeah.
you like it a little
Yeah,
bit
I'm like,
more?
why do I need to come to downtown LA to like meet somebody? You
Is
know
there
what I mean?
a different energy, you think? Like, have you noticed like you like the product better when it's in person, or is it? Because I know a lot of artists like don't even meet; they just like
Yeah.
send their feature and whatever.
Yeah, you just like send stuff back and forth. I don't know yet, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I definitely did some successful Zoom sessions.
Have you done any Pretty Sister sessions through Zoom?
Yeah, with my boy Blake, who I did a lot of. He co-produced a lot of the songs on
Yeah,
the
I
record.
saw that.
We just sent stuff back and forth. We
And
didn't.
you guys already had a flow probably before.
We
this.
did, but like, cause we'd worked on like previous stuff together in
Mhm.
person. So we kind of had a good understanding of what each other did. But other than that, I was just finishing it by myself. you know, because like I mixed it and mastered it and like
Oh, so you did all of that?
I did all of it.
Jeez.
So
How long was that whole?
I mean, I kind of do it as I go, so it's hard to say
Okay.
how long. But finishing the last couple songs was tough.
That was the last home stretch.
I still need a break,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah. I was watching something and you said your process of like your creative process changes like every time.
Mhm.
Is that like intentional or do you just sort of go with the flow of what you're doing?
Yeah, I think I just go with the flow
Yeah.
because I mean, there's a lot of ways to get it going, right? I think like after a long time of being a creative person, you learn strategies to overcome slow times or lack of inspiration. It's actually really fun. I was talking to my girlfriend about this yesterday. I was reading her this Tchaikovsky quote
Okay.
that like really changed me because it's basically what it says is like you're not going to always be inspired, you know? It's our job as a like professional creative person to meet it halfway. So that means like, in the morning, like I could wake up and be like, I have a song idea, and I go right down to the studio. But there's a lot of days that I don't, and I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna do today? I don't know. But I go and I sit at the piano or I pick up a guitar, I sit at my computer, and I start to just like tinker away with things. You know what I mean? So like,
Is it usually a new thing or do you revisit something when you feel like that?
I do revisit things. I think so. It's like, for instance, if sometimes there's a vocal like a melody and a lyric idea that comes into my head, like a couple, you know, I'm trying to think of specifically if there's any songs on the record that I could think of, but something will pop into my head. And then actually, yeah, like the last song on the record, Never Gonna Be, like for some reason I had the "You ain't never gonna be" like stuck in my head, like usually when I'm in the shower. And then I'll go down to the studio and I'll like build something around that. So that's like one process. But then when I'm not inspired at all, I'll just like start a drum beat with like a
Like
drum.
play around.
Yeah,
sort
just
of
like a drum sound that I like. I'm like, oh, I like how those drums sound. I want to try to make those. And then I make those, and then I'm like, oh, like I kind of hear this bass line on it. And then there's a lot of times where I'll build an entire track and I'll love the track, and there'll be no lyrics and melody on it, and I'll be like, damn, like I need to, like with this one of the songs "Stay" on the record.
Yeah. I love that song.
I was thank you. That was one of my favorites too, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that.
Really?
Because I saw you said that.
Oh yeah. I don't know why. I just like, I don't know. That one turned out good, but that's one that I did with Blake. And so he sent over like that little snippet of the intro, and then I put the drums and the bass on it, and kind of finished the track out before there was any top line on it.
So it really is just like super different every time.
Yeah, I just like made
You
a
don't
beat.
limit yourself.
What'd you say?
You don't like limit yourself. I think
Yeah.
sometimes like I'm such a routine person that I can seem like that I need to do this, this, and this. Where if I just like relax a little bit,
Sure.
sometimes I
Yeah.
want to do this first this time or.
Yeah, I mean, I think both ways work, you know, like, but I think that especially with creativity, I feel like it's such a thing that floats in the air, and it's not something that like you can always capture. Like, you know, like the Greeks or whatever said, like somebody wasn't a genius. It was that you had the genius, meaning like it visited you for that short amount of time, and then it moved on. So they believed it like ideas or inspirations were like these kind of like transient
That's cool.
items that like could pass into you for a little bit and then leave, right?
Wow.
So it's like, to me, I'm not just trying to fish one way. I'm trying to you know, cast my pole out and then also have the net. I'm trying to all the ways that I can catch things. I'm trying to do it. You know?
So I saw you said that you've been producing since you were like 15, 16.
Yeah, I'd say I started making beats when I was
On the
like that
burned
age.
copy of Fruit Loops.
Fruity Loops, right?
Fruity Loops, yeah. Is there any like thing you still implement, like that you can think of that you did that long ago that's like part of your ritual with making music?
Yeah, I'd say like my first. That's a good question. I think I probably still write songs over if there's
Teddy Pendergrass.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if there's an instrumental piece of a song, I'll still sometimes like write things over it and then remake the beat.
Yeah, I see you're very
afterwards.
vocal about like where you pull your inspiration from, which is cool. I think like a lot of people hinder
Try
away
to
from
hide that
that.
shit?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
weird because you can see it and hear it all the time. And I think it's fun when you do say it because then you have like it's like almost what your music, your sound already feels that way, but feels nostalgic and like feels like classic before you've heard it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think like, I feel like I'm pretty honest just in general, like even like my lyrics and stuff, like I just try to shoot to be as like authentic or whatever.
Yeah.
And talk about things that people just won't sometimes, which I think is.
Yeah, I saw you said with every song you approach, is it honest and does it need to exist?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So I was gonna ask, like, a lot of the albums seemed like you revisited a lot of stuff multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
Are those like what makes you pause on it, and then what makes you be like, okay, I want to revisit it? Do you ask like that question, like, does this song still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ask like, does this song still fuck?
Yeah.
Do you know? And if it does, if the answer is yes, like Slide on the record was probably like, it was either the first or the second Pretty Sister song that got written.
Yeah, I think you said first.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was like between that one and Come to LA. I can't remember which one was first, but I think it was actually Slide. It actually was definitely Slide. And like I wrote that in 2015 or 14 maybe even. And from 2014 to 2021, like a lot has changed in the world.
Right.
A lot has changed in a lot of like, my taste. A lot has changed in like what's my truth and what speaks to me. And the verses just didn't anymore. The chorus still did. I love the chorus.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that about production since you do all of it. When you rework production, is that your taste changing, or are you trying to keep up with like the way sound is moving, or?
I think both. I think I'm never really trying to chase, because I think that like if you're chasing a sound, then you're already behind it.
Right.
And it's
already happening.
It's already happening. You're 6 months behind.
Yeah.
So, but you know, for instance, like with Slide, with Regret, with a lot of those older songs, sonically they just didn't fit the thing that I was trying to do anymore. Like for instance, like the drums, I was making more like electronic music back then, still in the same realm, but just sonically it was a little bit more electronic. And on this record for Catalina,
like earlier 2000s, sort of,
And for Catalina, I wanted more like sonically, I wanted everything bass and drums wise to be like organic, like, you know, like live drums or live bass.
Yeah. Oh, so was most of it all live?
I mean, the drums are like live sounding. I wasn't like tracking drums in the studio, but like there's a lot of live bass.
You have your whole like studio set up, right?
I do, but I had drums in there and I took them out because
too much.
I just never felt like miking them, and like I was like, I'll just grab some really good samples instead of recording. But in the newer stuff that I'm working on, I want to even go farther down the organic.
Yeah, it's cool.
road.
I think there's like that era of music where it was like just that, and then all this like techie stuff came out and it became just that, and now there's like this balance that's coming back.
It's true. Yeah.
So I was digging a little deep with Blue Sky Reality. How does so when I saw that your first song you ever wrote was over a Teddy Pendergrass song, and then that, and then back to this, it feels like a very like full circle.
Damn, yeah.
Like what made you like birth Pretty Sister? If
like from
all your other music endeavors, like to now, like was it just?
Well, I think that's a really good question. I think like for me, I knew that I needed to do music, right? But like I didn't have, my first choice would have been to just start by doing like R&B music, right? That's what I grew up on. That's what I really gravitated to as a singer and stuff.
Is that your parents and stuff? Or?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like my first concert that my stepdad took me to was Brian McKnight, and Tyrese was the opener. So like that was my shit. You know what I mean?
Mine was Confessions tour.
Oh my goodness.
I was 9 years old.
That is
Kanye
amazing.
West opened, and
oh my God,
Christina
Kanye
Milian
opened?
Yeah, dude, he came out to Jesus Walks. It was crazy.
That's an incredible concert.
Oh.
That's one of my favorite records of all time.
Same.
I have one CD in my Cadillac, and it's Confessions.
Oh, nice. I have that, and I have Alicia Keys, The Diary of Alicia Keys. Yeah.
That's good.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Though.
No. That's an amazing, dude. Confessions. We gotta take that journey for a second. But yeah, like, I think I just, like you said, right? It's like I'm not gonna not do something. How do I phrase this? Basically, like I wanted to do R&B music, but I didn't I didn't know how to play music very well. Like I'm not classically trained in anything. Like I've learned to play piano and guitar and bass like over time.
All just yourself, or here
For the
and
most
there
part,
with other people? Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. I've picked up things from other people, but I've never really taken lessons. I've taken like a couple of piano lessons, and like a couple of singing lessons. But other than that, like I've just
That's impressive.
it's taken me 15 years to like get good at piano and bass and guitar. So when I was 15 years old, I couldn't play anything, and especially not like I couldn't create the sound that I was hearing.
Right.
And so I was just like, well, I just need to do music. So I joined my first band, first before Blue Sky, was a metal band called Fall of Italo, and I just like met some dude at a party, and he was like, "Oh, we need a guitar player," and I was like, "I kind of play guitar," and I'm also like a metalhead for sure. Like that's
really?
I love
That's cool.
like that, all that stuff. I'm a geek
That's
about.
amazing. So like, two sides of
It really, people are like, "You like this shit?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's like my jam." It's like my two favorite like artists, like D'Angelo, Earth, Wind and Fire, and then like Every Time I Die, which is like metalcore, like
Okay, yeah, I don't
other
even know.
favorite. Yeah, they're good. They're great. They're one of my favorite bands. But anyway, so I joined this metal band, and I knew it wasn't like ultimately what I was supposed to be doing, but I think it was just important to just
Start doing it.
be doing music, right? Like band practice, and I was playing bass, and we were playing shows, and we were like, I was, 17, 18, like starting to do music, and from that band, one of the guitar players, and it was Nick, who me and him ultimately started Blue Sky.
Oh, cool.
So we were doing the Fall of Italo stuff, and we are like, this metal shit's cool, but like let's make like a pop band.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was good music.
so-
Like
I mean, it's
I
okay.
liked it. I was watching like some of the videos and stuff.
Oh man.
That's so funny.
Oh, I gotta get some of that stuff taken down now.
Yeah, I was doing my research.
I have
Well,
like
I don't
I have
even
a
know if
rat
it was-
tail at some point.
Huh?
I have a rat tail in like one of those
Oh,
videos.
I didn't see that.
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
it's pretty gnarly.
So
But yeah,
then-
just like that evolved. You know what I mean?
And you got better. You're now able to make the stuff.
Yeah,
that
and
you kinda wanted
I was
to.
writing songs more, and I really started playing piano a lot, and I really started writing songs, and that's also, with that band, we were very serious, and we learned like how to we practiced 5 or 6 days a week. We like
Oh, wow.
we practiced to like a click, because we had a house that we would go to, luckily, and so we'd practice literally every day.
Wow.
And so that's when I started producing a lot, because I was recording a lot of our demos. And that's how I got my first record deal, and then that led to my first publishing deal, and then that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it just all.
That's just kind of how you go, right? And then
Yeah.
after that band kind of started to fall apart, that's when I met this guy Jared Kritzstein, who I had started collaborating with a lot, and he was very musical, so I could speak musically through him.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
so that's when I was like, oh, I could do the stuff I've always wanted to do with Jared now, which was like,
Was that exciting? Was it scary? Or
yeah, it
you
was
just
great. And I was like, no, this is what I got to do.
Yeah.
Right.
With doing you've been doing music for so long, how do you keep especially since even your energy on social media and everything is very carefree, spirited, and then you have this desire and sex appeal and pushing boundaries lyrically and even with production. How do you keep that alive after making music for so long?
I don't know, dude.
Yeah, what's your driving force? How do you? Because
I
I've only been doing this for a couple years, and some days I'm like,
what? Yeah. What?
shit's-
Really?
yeah.
Of course. I mean, I think, who was I talking to about it? I think you have to have a dog's memory. You know what I mean? You just forget all the bullshit, right? So it's you do a tour, or you play a show, and you're like, that's the worst experience I've ever had. That was so demeaning, or that was so embarrassing, or that there's 5 people there that felt so terrible. But then a week later, you're like, oh, was it that bad?
yeah, I
Right?
see. Yeah.
I think I just don't have a good memory, and that's how I keep going.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That's a trick.
I think that's the trick.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Short-term memory loss.
Okay.
That's
how
the-
you
that's the
keep
key.
going, stay alive.
Yeah. Get a little bit of brain damage in high school playing football. You forget more.
Do you play football in high school? Oh, that's cool. Do you
Yeah.
like sports?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I just saw something on your Instagram where you were explaining football or something.
Oh my God, that's right. Yeah. I'm not a big sports watcher. You know what I mean? I don't do fantasy football. I don't do
Yeah.
but I watch when football season comes around, I watch it. But yeah, I was more into playing, like I wrestled and
Yeah,
played football in high
that's how
school.
I am
I like
too.
wasn't in band and stuff like that.
Oh, you weren't?
No.
Oh, wow.
So I was, which is really weird. I
Were
was
your
like
parents musicians? Like what kind of, or they just were big music fans?
big music fans.
So
Like
they-
my stepdad played a little bass. My dad played a little guitar. Like, but yeah, nobody was like a serious musician.
I see.
They like dabbled and then, but it was just music was always really important. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
it was a very big driving force in my, it's like where you bond and
Yeah.
when your parents like to, I don't know about yours, but mine like to like entertain and have like little house parties.
Mhm.
So like music was always like
Yeah, that's
the driving
important.
force. Yeah.
It's funny too, cause when I have a younger brother who's a lot younger, and it's funny because to him my parents are old, but my parents were really young when they were raising me. Like they were in their like late 20s, early 30s.
Oh, wow.
So we listened to music together a lot. Like they were listening to stuff that was on Top 40, and
I see.
you know, buying CDs and like, you know, like they took me. I think in third grade, I think my mom took me to buy. I bought Rage Against the Machine, Evil Empire,
Nice.
and like Smashing Pumpkins, like or something.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? She was like, I was really into Marilyn Manson too, and she wouldn't let me bring that in the house. Actually,
Oh, wow.
she's like, this is the actual devil's music.
Thank God for parents with me.
Right.
My mom's a big live show person, so that's where
Really?
I always like got to go to. I've seen like Trey Songz, Keisha Cole, Usher,
Keisha Cole, that's dope.
Britney Spears, like
Damn.
yeah,
And your mom took you to those.
yeah,
That's tight.
so nice. And my mom's an older mom. My mom was like 30 something when she had me.
Damn, that's
Yeah.
cool. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
super cool. To sort of circle back, I got a little sidetracked. So with I was just curious how you gain like the confidence, I guess, to push the boundaries lyrically. I'm a big R&B fan, so like I'm very like my ear is very like likes it a lot.
Yeah.
But I know that's not the most popular music.
Yeah.
So like what is it just the music you listen to or?
It's the music I grew up on.
Yeah.
And they were always so like sexual and you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it still is in a different way. But I don't know. I just think that like, I don't know. I guess I never thought about it as being like having like courage or
Yeah.
daring to do that kind of thing.
For,
Just kind of like-
how I kind of view it is like when you did listen to that music growing up, you can feel and like hear the difference between like a song that is like super nasty and like a little bit aggressive, and then an R&B song that is saying those same words, but that's
Comes from
tasteful.
a different place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like yeah.
Yeah,
So it's probably just being used to it, I guess.
I think it is that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. Let's go into Catalina a little bit.
Cool.
So we talked a little bit about Slide was the first
Mm-hmm.
song. So I guess with a lot of the songs, you kind of answered it, but when you make the first Pretty Sister song, is that this is going to be an album song and that's why you pause on it, or do you just like take a break, move on?
Yeah, you know, with that,
Like, is there any songs on the record where you're like, oh, this can't be a single, like this is a song that's going to be
Like an album cut?
Yeah.
yeah, I think like, you know, in 2014, I had no idea that I was going to release a record called Catalina in 2021. You know what I mean? It was more that I like, as an afterthought, I was like, you know what, Slide can fit on here.
I see.
Slide can fit on here, because it was like building the narrative was kind of built around Triple X
Yeah.
and Bad Things, and Never Gonna Be was like one of the last songs that I wrote. So I knew that it was missing that kind of closure song. And so that was the song, one of the songs that I wrote specifically for the record,
Oh, I
with
see.
the record
Never
in
Gonna Be.
mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like listening through and being like, oh, these actually fit well together, you know? Because it's technically, it's the first album I've ever released.
Right.
And so it's kind of an amalgamation of the songs that I've made over the last 7 years or so.
Yeah.
You know? So I think like going forward, I think, you know, now I'm like, okay, I'm already thinking about the next record and how that's going to be as a record as a whole. Catalina just...
Because of now having a record?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I've never really done that before.
I think it's cool how many songs you revisited, because I have like a lot of musician friends, and I think a lot of the time it's like you're just over it, and it's hard to like hear it in a way that feels like fresh and new.
Yeah.
Is that just because you rework them, or?
I think it's because I have discipline, and I think that something has potential to be good, and if I sit with it long enough and deconstruct it for long enough, eventually I'll hear it in a different way. You know? And I also think people just don't want to finish things. Like, it's really hard as a songwriter or producer to finish things.
Yeah, when you revisit it, do you pick like lyrics first and then production, or?
I start with production. Just because that's the easiest thing to tinker with. You can just open up the session, get in there and be like, are these drums right? Nah, let me just like mute all the drums and make new ones. And then like by the time you start just cleaning stuff up and start to like polish things, after, you know, it's been 5 hours and you're like, whoa, this production sounds completely new.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, okay, I need a new verse.
I see.
You know what I mean?
It gets the juices sort of like flowing.
Because it's like easiest if you narrate, like, you know, because with a song, right, there's a million variables floating around. So if you could like focus on one of the variables that you know isn't right and be like, okay, drums, right? Like, let's just focus on this variable. Then you could start to work the equation kind of like backwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah. With Regret, right, specifically, that's the one you said it was like multiple times that you revisited?
Yeah, they got reworked like, I think the one on the record is like the 4th or so revision.
Yeah, you said like it was like years apart for each.
It was, yeah.
So I picture like, you're like, okay, made the song, pause, 3 years later.
Yeah.
You like I picture you like a cartoon, listen to it, not yet. Like, how does that go?
It's because it was kind of an outlier. You know what I mean? Like it didn't fit the like thematically, right? Like all the early Pretty Sister stuff was like sexual or fun.
I see.
Right? Like you can't really put, I mean, I guess you could, right? But like putting like a My Jam or like a Thirsty next to a Regret didn't make sense. And so, you know, and it's funny too, because it's like, you know, going through different managers, different publishers, even different labels, everybody's always really liked that song, like as a song. But like, yo, Regret's one of the jams. Let's put it on the next EP. And then the next EP or whatever.
Yeah, what made you like never really give up on it? Just because you liked it, it just didn't fit?
Yeah, because I always knew it was good.
Yeah.
I mean, or thought it was good, in my opinion. And everybody else, like management and stuff, was always like, no, like don't forget about Regret. That one's really good. And so I was like really determined to make that one work.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, is it worth it? You know what I'm saying? It's like, and same with Bad Things. Like I wrote that in 2017.
Dude, that song's so good.
Thank you.
That like concept is like, when I hear a concept that is like, oh, duh, like why hasn't anyone said that yet? Because it makes complete sense. Like trying to remember the bad things is.
People on TikTok would say otherwise.
Yeah.
Most people will have that reaction, like, dude, so good. And then some people were like, you should look up, there was a Miley song.
No.
Yeah, there's like a Miley song that's like something, it's not even similar. It's not called Bad Things. Somebody was like, it's like the Machine Gun Kelly song. I'm like, yeah, no, it's not at all.
Yeah.
Actually, it's just the same title. And I had to like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somebody was like, the Machine Gun Kelly song. I'm like, no, that song is I Want to Do Bad Things to You.
Yeah, it's
totally different. And I was like, also, by the way, because you're 9 years old, you don't know this, but that's a remake of a Fastball song from the like late 90s.
Oh, I hate when I see
you
TikToks
don't know what you're
like
talking
that
about.
where they like say something about a new song. And I'm like, no, it's not that song. It's an older song.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, so thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So you mentioned Stay as a personal favorite. I was curious why.
Stay. Well, I think because I got to work with a writer that I really love, P. Wright. And I'd worked with him working on some Jordan Sparks stuff.
Yeah.
And I was amazed with his talent. And so it's really nice when you kind of like get out of the driver's seat sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, especially for me, because I'm producing and mixing and mastering and writing and like.
There's like that pressure, like.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't want to do all this, to be honest. I just do it out of necessity. I would love to bring in like better writers, better producers to collaborate with, you know what I mean? And so that was a treat to work with P. Wright on that. And it came together really quickly. And I think also the production, like I'm really proud of how the production turned out. Like I love all the dorky shit about it. I'm like, oh, the drums like hit just right. And that song was inspired by I Feel Like Making Love. and it's like a lot of times you set out to recreate a certain vibe or a certain song. You really want to do that, and like you end up somewhere else, and it's cool, but it's somewhere else.
Yeah.
I think I achieved what I was going for with that song.
So it was like really satisfying.
So I was like, I did it.
Yeah.
We did it with this one. Cool, you know? So that's why it's one of my favorites. And I love, you know, the horns and like all the little bits about it.
Yeah, all the production stuff.
Yeah.
So Pull Me Back is like probably my favorite.
That's one of my favorites too.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's so good. It's just like the Chingy song. Sounds just like it. I'm just kidding.
I was like, is it?
Just like every other TikTok kid.
Oh, is there a song called Pull Me Back by Chingy?
Every time I try to leave, something keep pulling me back, telling me I need you in my life.
I know that song.
Yeah,
I gotta know that song.
I'm probably not saying it the right way, but.
Okay, we'll listen to it after.
Anyway, so the video is backwards.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to find it again and it disappeared, but I saw a clip of you, what it sounded like backwards.
Mm-hmm.
How does that like? It's just sounds, right? Like, how do you learn how to sing something backwards?
Listen to it a million times.
Dude.
So I wanted to do like I was gonna make a TikTok about it actually.
You should, because I was like blown away because it's literally sounds, like it's not actual words.
No, I still remember it. It's I Pilno wash, kabimo pinol wash, hear me ashkanune. That's the chorus backwards.
No way.
Because the last bit, the hear me ashkanune, like it sounded
Why
like.
do you have an accent kind of?
Because it sounds like it,
Yeah.
right? That's what it sounds like. It sounds like Russian kind of a little bit, but it sounds like I'm saying "hear me, Ashkanune," like at the end.
So you found little like tricks.
Yeah. So one of my plants is actually named Ashkanune
because of that.
Because I would like go run the Hollywood Reservoir and listen. I put because it's out of time, so I just took the acapella and I reversed it, and then I put it to a click and just put a dry drum beat on it so that I could hear it in time. And I just like run. I practiced running, singing it, and then I like phonetically wrote down what it sounded like hear me Ashkanune.
How long was that process?
It only took me a couple like weeks to be honest, because it was only the chorus that we did in reverse.
Right.
So but then also because we wanted to do it in slow. I wanted it to be reverse and slow-mo.
Yeah.
So then we had to double speed it to shoot it at 60 frames or whatever. Actually, no, we shot it in 60 frames, so that means we had to speed it up like 60%. Actually.
Yeah, you didn't go like 120.
No,
120
no,
frames.
that would have been crazy. So so I had to learn it fast and backwards. So that was a challenge.
Yeah, I literally did not understand because it just sounded so crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I have it on my phone actually. I'll play it for you after.
Yeah, I want to hear it. Okay, so switching gears a little bit, I always ask this question.
Mm-hmm.
So if music didn't exist, what would you be doing?
I'd be a fireman.
Really?
For
Quick
sure.
answer. So was that like a thing from when you were a
kid?
kid?
Yeah, I think not really. When I was a kid, I didn't really want to do that. I like wanted to be a professional skateboarder and like shit like that.
Yeah.
It was when I got like, I guess it's like when I got out of high school, I was kind of like, I kind of want to be a firefighter. And I've actually applied before my first, I didn't go through any of the process of, doing my, like the physical stuff, but
I could weirdly, that weirdly makes sense.
Does it?
Yeah.
In a parallel universe, I'm a fireman?
I could kind of see that.
That's a great job.
Yeah.
You
and
know?
they look badass too.
Yeah, it's the coolest job ever. Like, who doesn't love a fireman?
Yeah, maybe that's something you have to knock off your bucket list.
I know.
Just do a 12-month.
Right?
Yeah.
A volunteer firefighter in a small town or something.
Yeah. Would you want to be a firefighter in LA, or do you have a?
Yeah,
does the fantasy continue? Is it somewhere else?
Yeah, me and my buddy, his name's Zach too. We'd always be like, if we don't make it in the music business by, I think we'd say 26 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't make it by 26, we're moving to New York and becoming firefighters.
Oh yeah, New York would be a place.
You know what I mean? But because that's the spot. But
yeah.
LA, you're fighting brush fires and stuff. But
no, so you'd have to go to the real deal buildings, running in.
Right.
Saving cats.
Dude, I'd love to do it.
That's so funny. That's so random, but
I
don't
think
know.
that's
It
it's literally the only other thing that I'm like, yeah, that'd be a dope job.
Mm.
I wanted to be a fighter pilot when I was a kid.
Very extreme
Right?
jobs, it seems.
I know.
Yeah. It seems like you need like a thrill or something.
I do. I know, right?
It's so funny because even in your music is like very like, you know.
I need stuff to be exciting. I guess, damn, I'm coming to a lot of realizations here.
Yeah,
My ADHD is like out of control.
Uh-huh.
I think. I don't know. I'm not like diagnosed, but
Yeah, neither
I'm
am I, but I feel that all the
self-diagnosed.
time.
I can't sit still.
Mm.
And so like I think the worst thing you could do to me is like make me bored.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I'm bored, so I hate flying on airplanes. It's not because I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna crash. I'm like, whatever. That like when we get turbulence, I'm like, this is exciting. All right, cool.
So you're like a thrill seeker.
I
for
hate
sure.
to be just like I'm locked in a tube for 5 hours,
Mm.
and you get mad when I stand up, and my butt hurts because I've been sitting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Can't fall asleep because it's uncomfortable.
I can't sleep. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah. There's always a baby crying.
There's I just came back from Nashville and there was like 4 babies crying.
Dude, no.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. That shit literally sucks. You think it's like funny, but once you're really in the plane with it, it's actually terrible.
It's the worst. And
Yeah.
I'm always like, why do people travel with children? And I'm like, bro, there's like a lot of reasons. There might have been a funeral, maybe like, do you know what I mean?
They don't want to go to a babysitter
Yeah.
yet.
And I'm like, well, don't go on vacation until they turn 18.
Yeah, don't have fun.
Don't have fun.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to switch into games. We'll wrap this up.
Okay.
Is there anything you want to like plug or say before we wrap it up?
Bad Things music video should be out soon.
When's that
It
coming
might
out?
be
Do you
out
have a
by the
date?
time this comes out.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
It's almost done though. Just got to finish the edit.
Okay.
That's
I'm
coming
excited
out.
to see that.
It's cool.
Yeah.
My boy Angelo did it. He's the one who also shot Pull Me Back and Convenience.
Oh, so he's your boy.
Yeah, he's my boy.
Hmm.
He's good.
Do you plan on doing any other videos for the?
I would like to. It all comes down to budget, right?
Yeah.
If I had all of the money, I would make a video for every single song.
Right.
Because I love making videos,
Hmm.
but I hate making music videos, but I also love it.
Hmm.
Do you know what I
What
mean?
part do you hate about it?
Just like the planning of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If there was like a big crew and there was a director and a producer and I
You
just had to
got
show up and do it,
and
it'd
say
be so much
whatever
fun.
your ideas. Yeah.
So
That's the goal
One
for
day.
everything. Yeah, even with this,
we
I
want
like.
those big budgets.
Yeah.
You know,
So Bad Things video coming soon.
Bad Things.
Catalina's out.
Catalina's out.
Is there a random fun fact we could hear about Catalina that you haven't shared?
Well, the name.
Yeah, you have like an attachment to Catalina. You have the Catalina fog in that one lyric.
Yeah, that's kind of one of my favorite lyrics I felt really slick when I wrote that.
Yeah.
So I just thought it sounded cool, but it's also that place had significance to that relationship.
Oh, Catalina.
So
did.
that's why Catalina, because
Dude, I'm born and raised in Southern California, and I just went for my first time.
Really? You never
Yeah.
went like in elementary school? You didn't do the like
No,
5th
we
grade
had.
trip?
I missed it or something. I remember like being bummed about it, but
Yeah.
we just went, and it was like so fucking fun.
Yeah, it's great.
Like it feels so different and cute. And,
It's a cool place. I think also the Catalina thing works for the record name because Catalina is a very kind of mysterious place also.
Mm.
You know, they have like the Wrigley Field curse.
I don't even know what that.
They
no.
like supposedly the Cubs curse comes from Catalina.
Oh wow.
Because like the Wrigley family like owns the
Yeah.
Cubs and they used to do their spring training in Catalina.
Ah.
And I think somebody like died, and it's like since then there's been like a spooky curse.
Ooh, Halloween.
Ooh, Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I got on that. I think.
Well, I appreciate you so much for coming down. This was fun.
I appreciate you.
Congrats on Catalina, dude. It's so good.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this episode of Their World. Zach Waters, Pretty Sister. Check the channel for other content. Bye.
Where do I look? That camera can't see me, right? Oh, it can. So when you're looking
Yeah,
there,
this
I should
is
look
our
in it.
wide.
Because I'm kind of like.
I still got your notes, still got your clothes, still got your lips.